providing a dedicated and reliable service aimed at keeping you informed and up to date. This is Philippines Prime.
For American car makers, Chinese competition in the global EV market is a growing concern, and Chinese electric vehicles in the US, that's their worst nightmare. Detroit and Washington want to keep China out, period. Is this protectionism? Is it maybe all politics? The land of the free and home of the brave is not a market for Chinese-made EVs. Heavy tariffs are supposed to keep them off American roads and highways. Why does the US not want any Chinese vehicles in?
According to a research, government usage of Chinese electric vehicles should be prohibited because they could be weaponized. A recent analysis alerts readers to the potential backdoor danger Beijing faces in using Chinese electric vehicles to exert pressure on rival countries. In a report titled Underpricing Chinese EV Risks in the UK, the think tank China Strategic Risks Institute, CSRI, came to very identical conclusions as the Biden administration earlier this year. Chinese automobiles are dangerous for national security. According to the CSRI, the market for cellular Internet of Things modules, CIMs, is dominated by Chinese manufacturers. These embedded devices use radio waves to send and receive data to and from outside sources. Such CIMs are used by EVs to get software updates, search up information about the closest charging station.
In this country and in this market. The US EV market is in a bit of a mess right now, or at the very least in a bit of a slumber. The EV craze hasn't really taken off, and electric vehicle uptake already seems to have passed its peak in the United States. That puts US legacy automakers in a bit of a bind. They're investing billions into new EV lineups because, well, that's the future. But they also need to keep their gas guzzler offerings fresh. For the time being, that's the internal combustion engine SUVs.
And get real-time traffic information from smart traffic lights. The issue is that because they can be operated and accessed remotely, they inherently pose a cybersecurity risk. The People's Republic of China has a long track record of weaponizing supply chain dependencies to economically coerce partners, it says, arguing for the UK to follow the US, Canada, and the European Union in imposing punitive tariffs on Chinese EVs. Fortune reached out to the Chinese embassy in the UK for comment but had no response. Until now, no extra duties have been imposed on cars from China, helping drive volumes for brands like MG, part of Shanghai's SAIC Motor. Furthermore, these gadgets are deployed in charging networks. So it's not just cars. According to the study, this implies that they may theoretically be turned off at any time.
Pickup trucks and muscle cars, which make them a lot of money. However, red flags of weakening demand for the EVs are popping up all across the country, and that's a real problem, except perhaps in California.
Long Beach, Los Angeles. This is KJ.
California remains something like the holy land in terms of EV acceptance and EV adoption rates in the US. The Golden State, a beacon for EV enthusiasts and environmentally conscious drivers, California not only boasts robustly increasing EV sales, but also a solid and ever-expanding charging infrastructure, at least compared to the rest of the country. California tops all other states with 44,000 public charging stations to date. That's out of a total of just 61,000 public charge points nationwide. Sounds not too bad, but according to the state's projections, California will need around 1 million public charging stations by 2030. That's a tall order.
Leaving drivers stuck and without power. The think tank suggested automatically banning businesses from the UK if they refuse to release their source code or offer proof of global data storage. Furthermore, under the UK's Procurement Act, Chinese EV producers from public procurement contracts and Chinese CIM manufacturers suspected of having links to the PRC's military-industrial complex should not be allowed to bid on government contracts. The nearly year-long conflict in Gaza did not create the world order. Rather, it was Vladimir Putin's invasion of his neighbor, Ukraine, in violation of international law that did. This came about only after the Kremlin initially used the Nord Stream pipeline to supply Europe and Germany in particular with a consistent supply of inexpensive Russian natural gas. Putin used this reliance as a weapon against Europe, a region that ultimately had to pay more for gasoline and energy on the international market in order to maintain the lights on for its economy. There is a possibility of future hostilities, especially considering the PRC's militarization of the South China Sea and military tensions in the Taiwan Strait, the CSRI contended. In fact, the think tank contended that these risks would escalate if Western governments relied on items from a competing system.
And then there's Los Angeles. LA is an El Dorado when it comes to EV adoption rates. The city takes the top spot for the highest number of registered EVs in California and the entire nation. So it's no surprise that California also takes the crown nationwide with 1.2 million registered electric vehicles. That's 5 to 15 times more than any other state in the US. EVs are everywhere in and around LA and the entire state. Getting stuck in notorious LA traffic with your internal combustion engine gas guzzler is so yesterday. Nowadays, more and more Los Angelites and Californians go bumper to bumper in their autopiloted and full self-driving Teslas. Hello from California. I brought my electric vehicle. It's a rental, of course. This is a Chevy Silverado, but
Russia, repeating the same mistake they committed. The study, which examines the dangers of China's growing authoritarianism, was released on Monday by the UK-based CSRI think tank in collaboration with the Coalition on Secure Technology, an initiative to increase public awareness of the dangers of Chinese CIMs. Cellular Internet of Things modules, the tiny devices increasingly found at the center of modern technology, are made in China, and few are aware of the threat they pose. Baroness Natalie wrote. In March, Jessica Evans, the coalition's chair at the time. Thus far, not much concrete has been done. Something has to change in this situation.